You're listening to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses. Each week, you'll hear my thought-provoking conversations with Olympians, pro athletes, CEOs, elite coaches, best-selling authors, and other high performers to uncover their secrets to success. Get ready to be inspired each week when we talk about leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and more. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi, everyone. This week, I'm going back to the vault and sharing another TARP replay. It's been a few weeks since we wrapped up Season 8 of Everybody Pulls the Tarp, and I'll be back with new episodes starting on January 4th. But in the meantime, this week, I want to reshare a powerful conversation that I had back in April of 2022 with lifestyle blogger and influencer Ryanne Janca. It's become one of the most popular episodes in the history of this podcast, and it's filled with so many important lessons about pivoting your career, creating your own opportunities, authentic communication, and so much more. I think about a lot of the lessons that Ryanne shared very, very often. And I've heard from so many of you about how much this conversation positively impacted you as well. So first, let me catch you up on Ryanne's story. In 2018, Ryanne was working as a corporate recruiter when she was forced to leave her job because her husband was promoted to an executive role at the same company, and a corporate policy said that she can no longer work there. Next, Ryanne completely reinvented and pivoted her career. And let me tell you, it's been a massive success. She launched The Recruiter Mom, a lifestyle blog and vibrant online community that grows every single day. When we first recorded this conversation that you are about to hear back in April of 2022, Ryanne had more than 33,000 followers in her community. But Ryanne had no plans to stop there. She has a tireless work ethic, extraordinary consistency, and has built incredible processes and systems that drive her daily research and content creation engine. Ryanne is truly remarkable. And most importantly, she has a genuine commitment to being transparent and bringing her authentic self to her online community every single day. And over the past approximately 20 months or so, Ryanne's following on Instagram has more than tripled. Now, over 100,000 people follow Ryanne for up-to-the-minute insights on all things fashion, home organization, travel, gift guides, great deals, and more. Last April, we explored everything that went into that career pivot, her daily research and content creation process, the power of following your passions, and so much more. The lessons in this one are absolutely timeless, and I hope you take away as much from Ryanne's story as I have. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to this TARP replay, my conversation from back in 2022 with the Recruiter Mom, Ryanne Janca. Let's start with, where did the idea for the Recruiter Mom business come from?
That is a great question. I get that one a lot. Honestly, I was a former corporate recruiter. I graduated college. I started with a rental car company. I worked my way up within that company and worked there for 15 years, 12 of them being as a corporate recruiter. So very much of my identity, my young adulthood, when I had my babies, all of that was working as a recruiter. That's where I met my husband. So we were very much in that corporate lifestyle. So I wore a suit every day to work. I actually did a lot of recruiting on college campuses. So I talked about professional dress, how to build your resume. I did all of that for so many years. And in 2018, I was about to go on a vacation with my husband. We were going to Colorado, and I realized that I was out of contacts. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go to Colorado without having any contacts. So I ran to an eye appointment over my lunch break. And when I went in there, the eye doctor was like, you can't see. Like, you can't see the big E on the chart. And I said, something's really wrong. And come to find out that I actually had a tumor that was blinding me in my left eye. Had almost an immediate surgery to take that out, hope that I would be okay. Because all the doctors, I went to 5 doctors before I got diagnosed and found a surgeon that could work on me. They were saying, you're going to be blinded for life. You might have double vision. We might paralyze side of your face. And the surgeon that I finally went to said, no, I think it's going to be okay. Some of those things could happen, but we'll fix you up. And he did. And during the time that I was recovering, my husband, who we worked for the same company, started putting in for an officer level position, and he got it while I was on medical leave. So when I came back healed, I had half a day to pack up my office and leave my corporate career. So at that point in time, I was like healing. I had no identity. I was a mom, but I was staying at home, but I didn't really want to stay at home. I didn't know what to do at all. And if there's any moms out there, what you do is you like are on social media. You know what I mean? Like you're scrolling Facebook, you're scrolling Instagram. When you all of a sudden have time on your hands, it's, kind of my place to be. That's where I did all my shopping. That's where all my friends were. So he said, find something that you love. Like this is the first time in your life that you can do whatever. So I remember vividly looking at him. I said, I'm going to shop for a living. He said, well, figure out how to get paid shopping, because like, if that's what you want to do all day, figure that out. And that's where the recruiter mom came from, is that I needed my recruiter, my corporate identity, but in a new phase of life.
So Ryanne, that's an amazing story on like so many levels. I want to go back a little bit. So the reason when your husband got this promotion, was it because of some corporate rule or something that, you couldn't return because you were married to an executive? What was that?
Yeah, it was actually a corporate policy that for many, many years we kind of knew was there, but had been told there was a possibility that I could be a contract recruiter. Like I could still kind of work for the company, just not in the same capacity. When it all got washed out, it was like, no, you can't work for the company at all. And so it was really like jarring that I had nothing. Like I never in my mind did I think I would completely walk away from recruiting.
So obviously you tell your husband, you're like, I want to shop for a living and I'm going to figure out how to make money doing it. Did you start to think about maybe skills that you had developed over the last 15 years that you might be able to like transfer into this new world? Or like, how did you go from, I want to shop for a living to like a real business like you have now?
I remember in looking back, obviously hindsight is 2020. For years before that, when I was in my corporate job, I remember like my regional vice president was trying to buy gifts for his wife for like the holidays and for Mother's Day and all those things. And I said, you know what? I will make you an Amazon gift list. I will find all the best things for her and I will just send it to you and just like buy things off of that. And I did that for years, actually for a couple of different work friends. So when I left, I really thought to myself more of, I love finding things that people are going to love. Like that was always my passion. And I would joke with friends of like, I'm good at being a recruiter. I am great at shopping. Like this is my expertise. So it wasn't that off. And also I'd spent several years, there's a sub world in Facebook and the shopping community called BST, which is buy, sell, trade. So when my kids were younger, I would buy them brand name clothes, but then I would resell them online. So I made a lot of money like buying my kids' next season of clothes by reselling them through Facebook groups. So I had a lot of knowledge of kind of those hobbies on the outside of my corporate career. And then once I got into being a full-time influencer, then I realized, okay, all the skills that I learned on, business to business relationship, negotiating contracts, being professional, being on time, all of those other skills really came into play once I did it. But getting started, it was more like, okay, some of my hobby stuff I can work.
It's interesting, like to think about the parallels, like between recruiting and trying to understand people and what they want to do for a living and how that's going to align with what the company's needs are. And then essentially that's kind of what you're doing with this influencer business. You're kind of breaking down these marketing walls between brands and what people really want. I mean, that's what you were doing for those executives. I mean, it's like you're like Oprah. You've got your favorite things.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because, getting into it now and now being in this business for about 4 years, my husband still looks at me and he's like, you are living your dream job. And I'm like, yeah, I really am. Like I was always meant to do this in some capacity.
I think what's interesting about like that dream job is people look at social media influencers and people who make a living on Instagram and they say, it must be easy. That looks like a lot of fun. And what I can tell you as somebody who creates a lot of content on a regular basis is that it is hard. And I've talked to a lot of influencers and people, I don't think people have a full appreciation for really what goes on behind the scenes to do the research you need to do and the work you need to do. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Like, take me behind the scenes on like a day or a week in the life of the recruiter mom.
That is one of the biggest misconceptions. I had no idea how much work that it took. I work now way more hours than I ever did in my corporate career. I typically wake up between about 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's to be able to get onto my computer, see what sales have updated. Although there are some brands that give me a heads up of like, hey, we're going to have these different sales throughout the month. That's maybe 5% of the retailers that I cover. So most of the time it's getting up early in the morning, seeing what sales that are going on, then finding, do I have content that fulfills those sales? If I don't, it's creating collages. And that's just to start my morning. Then I'm starting to look at every single social media site that I cover. So I'm not just an Instagrammer. I'm not just on Facebook. I blog full-time too. I'm on Amazon Live. So it's creating content that works on all of those different platforms. So let's say, Vuori is having a sale. We were talking earlier about Vuori. It's thinking, okay, Vuori is having a sale. Do I have a collage that will work in the Like to Know It app? Do I have a try-on that is a video that's going to work in Instagram stories? Do I have a flat lay that's going to work on Facebook? It's then scheduling all of that content or then scrambling and shooting that content that day to post and still make it for that sale.
My head is just spinning, like thinking about like the calendars and the websites and the bookmarks. Like, so are you like a write it down person? Are you like a Google Doc? Like, how are you organizing all this?
I'm very much a write it down person. My Erin Condren planner is my, my everyday. And then I have additional lists of things that I'm doing that day, that week. So that's just like starting the day for sales. On top of that, then I have brand collaborations that are long-term contracts. So I also have in those pieces of saying, okay, well, I have an obligation to this brand to post on this specific day on this platform. How is that going to fit in with everything else that I have? So I have actually, I have lists that go by the hour of, okay, where is this being posted? What content pieces are going on? What platforms at what time?
Yeah, I mean, it's so far beyond just the Instagram for you, right? If you've got the blog, you've got so much that you're doing. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody, I mean, Ryanne is prolific with this content and so consistent. I'm curious, Ryanne, like when you kind of started getting out there and like becoming a little bit of like a public persona, you've built a massive community, over 33,000 people. Did that come naturally to you to kind of share everything that was going on in your life? And how did you kind of deal with that?
Oh, wow. Yes and no. I have always been a very talkative, outgoing individual. That's why I was really good as a recruiter as well. Like there's no room that I go into where I feel intimidated. I can make myself at home pretty much anywhere. The difficulty though in the influencer world and what I have found challenging is how much do you share? At a certain point, my son came to me, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and he was like, I don't want to take pictures, Mama. Like, I don't want to be in pictures. My husband obviously still has a high level corporate position. He's not really on my social media that much. You don't see him very often. And that's to protect some of my life that is private, to keep not everything online and sharing everything. So that's really more of the balance. I don't care. Like I'll put everything out there, but it's protecting the individuals in my life that maybe are more private or don't want that out there. My daughter, luckily, she's getting older. She's 10. It's like, well, I mean, if you give me the shorts that I want, then I'll let you take a picture in them. But the boys in the life, like they're not as keen on it.
Your daughter's ready for the corporate life. I mean, she's ready to negotiate these big deals. I'm impressed.
She is. Yes. She's very much. My son, though, he's He's more of the negotiator. She just is like, I know how this works.
I know you just went on a vacation. You blogged about it all, a cruise, I believe it was. So like, what does your family say? Like when you're walking around all day, like talking into your iPhone or whatever, like, do they rib you a little bit and have some fun, or do they just let mom do her thing?
You know what? That one was really difficult because that was actually planned as a family vacation. So I had initially intended to be pretty offline and not actually blog about it. But when we got on the ship, and it was my first experience on a ship, it was a brand new ship. There was actually 80 content creators on that cruise, which I had no idea was going to happen because it was a family trip for us. I felt that pressure, which is something that I'm still balancing, is like, okay, well, I have content that people are going to want to see. So how do I work this in where it makes sense, where we're still having as much family time as possible, but I can share this experience with my followers and my readers? So a lot of times, again, it's getting up early in the morning. There were some times on the cruise where I was up at 6 o'clock and, taking my phone around the ship when nobody else was awake, just taking that content that I could then, when I got home, put into pieces that were consumable.
I think that's such an important point, Ryanne. Like people ask me about like the concept of work-life balance, and I prefer to talk about like work-life integration, because I think like balance is kind of this nebulous thing. And like what I think a lot of us, and it's kind of been accelerated by this work from home, remote kind of age that we're in the last couple of years, is this work-life integration and figuring out like, how do you kind of piece this whole puzzle of your life and work together? And I believe that I've always been passionate about, friends being clients and people I work, like we're going to be fast friends because I just like to integrate everything. Right. And I think that that's useful. I think it's not for everybody, but I think when you want to accomplish a lot and you've got a lot of things that are really important to you, work, family, different things, that integration is important.
Absolutely. I would say that has always been my life too. I would say my closest best friends are those individuals that I worked with in corporate America. I mean, those are still the girls that I go to Vegas with and go on vacation with. Those are still my best friends in my life. So I never was the type of like, oh, you're just my work friend, you're my at-home friend. We've always kind of had that life. So yes, my friends now, I have one of my friends that is working for me part-time, my photographer who her business really helps me with some of the content creating. We'll sit and have lunch for 2 hours and talk about not only work, but life and family. And that has definitely been, I think, also how moms cope with working very demanding jobs and being able to excel is you find those pockets of time. For me, I still do get to kind of drop what I'm doing at 3 o'clock and pick up my kids, and between 3 and now 6:30, shuttle them to all the different activities and sports and be there when they need me for a field trip. Or yesterday I brought cookies to my daughter at school. I'm so blessed that I have that ability, but that doesn't mean that I'm not then back on my computer as soon as I get back, finishing up some of the things that I need to do for the next blog post that goes out.
Have you always been like a creative person? Like I'm curious, like you talk about getting up like early in the morning. Some of that's maybe necessity because of schedule, but is that something that you just know, hey, I'm most creative in the morning. That's when my ideas are going to happen. I mean, or maybe for you, it's driven by the timing of when the sales are announced and stuff like that.
I've always been an early riser. I tell friends, like, I vividly remember my mom waking up at 4:30 in the morning and like going into her office early. So I've always been an early riser my entire life. I was the weird one that would took like, 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock college classes because I've just always been an early riser. But if you call me at 9 p.m., like 90% of the time I'm asleep. So that's always been kind of like my body rhythm. And I feel like I found jobs where that worked well with too.
I'm wondering, Ryanne, like there's so many ways that like you've taken this business over the last couple of years, and probably so many ways that you can continue to take it different directions. How do you like set goals? Like, do you set them like on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis? Or are you somebody who knows what the recruiter mom's going to look like in 2040? Like, what's your, like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I need bite size. I'm not a like 5-year planner, although I'm a goal setter, I guess is maybe the best way to put it. I'll put out there at the beginning of the year, here are my goals of brands that I want to work with, income level that I want to get to, consistency in the different platforms that I'm on. When it comes to like really what I look at everything on a monthly basis. And then I also look at it weekly. So it's growth within follower count. Is my income level growing? Are my collaborations growing? It's really more growth based. And then if I start to see things are slowing down, okay, why is that? Is it that I spent way more time over here? So, last year was really eye-opening where it's like, I didn't have full-time childcare help during the summer and things slowed down. I was mom, half the time. So understanding, is that okay with me, or do I want to outsource that? Well, last summer I wanted to be with my kids. So, it just continues to allows me to look at those things and then prioritize whether or not I'm willing to give up what it would take to kind of reach that goal.
Have you thought about like the power of like the community that you've built in like a really short period of time? Because I think that's one of the things that gets lost, right? Like when it's a business, it's like you said, there's a focus on follower count and growth and all of that. But like at the end of the day, like you could fill like so many stadiums around the country with the people who follow you and engage with your content. Like, how do you reconcile and think about all that?
I don't. It weirds me out to think that way. The way that I think about everything that I post and every time I get on stories, this morning I was on an Amazon Live, I more think of like, I'm talking to 5 friends. I'm talking to my girlfriends at lunch. I'm talking to, the 3 people that I see comment right at that moment, because my mind can wrap around that. And then I'm really authentic and honest, and we're having a fun conversation. I'm telling you, girlfriend to girlfriend, why I hate this, why I love this, why this fit bad. I can look stupid to make you feel better. And I think through that, I have built a community that really trusts me. And I feel authentic to them because I am authentic to them. And within that too is a lot of women don't see themselves reflected on social media. And that meaning size-wise, working, corporate clothes, being a mom, balancing it all. So I really try and show all pieces of that in a really honest and authentic way. And I get responses, and it's the DMs, it's the private messages that like I tear up on, where I now can wear clothes that I never thought I could. I feel better about my body after having a baby because you've been able to show me what to wear to work. Like those are the things that fuel me every day.
I think that's like what's so cool about this stuff and like this influencer like business that has really evolved. I mean, is that it's that connection. Like it's the people. It's everybody's going to take a little bit of something different from the things that you share and the things that you create. But how do you like maintain that authenticity as you continue to grow? Like, is that something that you've struggled with? Is it different
it's
for
not
you?
Thinking that there's 30,000 people watching me. It's what it is.
It's just those 3 friends. It's just those 3 friends.
That's it. That's all I'm talking to. And I really do think that way of, if it was my best friend sitting here, what would I say? And I'm so lucky too that I have friends kind of throughout the country. And I've had people that have known me for decades message me and say, you talk on your social media exactly like you talk in real life. Like I hear you, I miss you, but like I feel like I see you every day because I see you on social media.
It's interesting, Ryanne, like that's kind of like how I set out like to shape this podcast. Like I said to people, what I want to do is this conversation, like for somebody listening, I want them to essentially visualize that like you and I met at a coffee shop. We sat down for 30 minutes and like, I'm trying to think about like, what is the person eavesdropping like at the table next to me, like want to know about Ryanne? And I'm just going to kind of like take this wherever it goes. And that's why like to me, that is the best feedback. Like, like I'll get messages like you described where people say, oh, this inspired me to do this, or this is going to inspire me to make a career change or whatever. But when people say like people who know me or meet me and then say, wow, like I listened to you, like I listened to 5 episodes and it's exactly like what I listened to. That's, I think, a high compliment. I think it's a challenge for what you're doing, but it's interesting. And no matter whether there's 33,000 50,000, 300,000, you're thinking about those three people. Is that something that like you've taken from your corporate recruiting world, like where you're looking at that one person, you're looking at what their career objectives are? Like, do you think there's a parallel?
A lot of it goes back to the amount of classroom presentations that I did. I mean, I was on campus doing presentations. I mean, I look back at the 12 years that I worked and I did thousands of presentations. So for me, that comfort level of just talking and just telling people, like, listen, you can't wear that to an interview. It's exactly the way that I now get on Instagram and be like, I love this purse. I think that it does come probably from that practice in my corporate position for so long, but it is second nature to me. I don't know how to do it any different.
How do you deal with, or shall I say, like maybe you've got such a good thing going that you don't deal with any negativity on social media. But to me, social media looks like a little bit like at times of a cesspool of like some negativity. Have you had to deal with, some naysayers and doubters or critics at all?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that everybody does. There's over the past 2 years with COVID and all of that. I mean, people were at heightened levels of everything. For a lot of my pages, though, I set very clear boundaries of saying, we're just not going to be negative here. If you don't have something nice to say, I'm going to delete your comments. Like, I'm not going to allow it. And so I feel like I made a place where we're going to say good things. And even if something's not good, but like, I don't allow a ton of like bashing on products. I don't allow bashing on pricing. I don't allow like, hey, that's so expensive. I don't know anyone that would buy that. I don't allow that because I want everyone to feel comfortable kind of in my living room with me. We're all going to say, even if it's not for you, cool, keep on scrolling. I guarantee you I have something for you, and that's why I post a variety of price points. I post a variety of styles and outfits, and whether it's, you are only wearing business suits, I have something for you. If you're a mom that like has a screaming, newborn, I have something for you too. So I've made that. And then the DMs that I get that are unkind, most of the time I ask questions. I say, why do you feel that way? And I apologize. I'm sorry that I came across that way. How can I understand your comment better? And 99% of the time, it's some sort of misunderstanding, or it's like, I was just out to, unload on someone and then I just delete them and say, oh, well, they just had a bad day.
Yeah, I mean, I think the feedback like is so important. I think there's always a lot of people who are willing to like cheer you on, but I do think when people have something like maybe not negative, but like constructive to say, there's a lot to learn from it. I've been doing some speaking to groups and teams, and a lot of times you'll get I'll get DMs. That was great. Okay, like I kind of get excited when there's one that's got something a little like negative to say, a little critical. I got an email recently from somebody who was at one of my talks, and he had a thought, and you know what? I responded and I said, I appreciate this.
Yeah.
And this is going to get better because of what you just said. I don't know. I think social media gives people like this avenue to say things sometimes that they maybe wouldn't say to your face, but it's good because you get more information. I want to go back to this thing you said a few minutes ago, Ryanne, about like, you want this to be a positive place. Mm-hmm. Was that something that like from day one, you said the Recruiter Mom community is going to be a positive place, or like over time, you're like, we're going to tighten the rails up here?
No, I actually was in other groups and saw other pages get very toxic. And so being on the side of a reader or a consumer of that content and just scrolling of like, I hate to say it, but like women bashing each other and just nasty comment after another. And like one person said one thing and then like 5 more of her friends would comment after that. And then they would have to shut down the comments on this. I was like, we're just not going to do that. Like, that's just nobody has time for it. I don't have time for it. You don't have time for it. Like, let's just not play that game.
What has been, I guess, when you think about, and you're in I feel like you're in the first or second chapter of this thing. Like it's been only a couple of years and I can't wait to see where you go with this all.
Thank you.
What has been the most rewarding
The most rewarding has absolutely been the direct messages for women I don't know, I guess, especially coming out of COVID, where we were all at home and the amount of stress on women gaining weight. I've been wearing yoga pants for a year and a half. Like I don't have any clothes that fit me anymore. And I have to now go back to an office or, I'm getting back into the workplace after, this really weird time that we all went through. And helping women navigate the body that they are in today and having that be okay. And the amount of messages that I get back from women that are like, I never thought I could wear this, and this, whatever it may be. I never thought I could wear, a bikini. I never thought that I could wear shorts that are that short. I never thought that I could wear business pants again. Whatever it was, I get a lot of responses of, thank you for showing me how I can do that.
That's so cool. What Ryanne has been the most surprising about, getting into the blogger, influencer content business? What's been the most surprising thing for you?
Oh man, the most surprising. Twofold. I think that the most surprising has been that it constantly changes. I mean, I thought I had a good grasp on social media and I'm pretty tech savvy, but the veracity that even a platform that you think that like Facebook. I mean, I've been on Facebook, I feel like since they took it off being an EDU email address, but the back end as an influencer, how your content is seen, how it navigates, the different nuances of those social media platforms are literally changed daily. Like you have to be able to keep up with technology at a level that I just didn't understand. Luckily, I like it and it's a challenge to me, but if you're not tech savvy, it's a really difficult place to be in because it changes so fast. And I guess the other thing that I thought was really surprising that I'm starting to see a lot more now that I've been in this business for a while is the comparison game. I see other influencers and bloggers that just like implode on themselves by comparing their page or their platform versus others. And I just have I really try to not do that. I really try in my mind to think like, I'm providing a resource in an area that nobody else is fulfilling. And I like to go into things thinking that way. I don't think I'm like anybody else. And therefore, I don't compare myself to anybody else.
What are some of the unglamorous things that kind of go on behind the scenes? Like, I know you talked a little about the content, but is there like one or two things that like you wish that everybody knew, hey, like I'm working really hard. Like these are the things that I'm doing that you can't even imagine.
Andrew, is so funny. When you had given me that we might be talking about this, I started to think about what it takes to put together a blog post, like just one blog post. And that's not even all the facets that I get. So I put together an hour typically to source whatever you're doing. So let's say I'm doing a blog post about denim shorts for the summer. Probably it takes me about an hour to go through all the different websites and say, okay, I want shorts from Nordstrom. I want shorts from Target. I want shorts from this retailer. Minimum, at least an hour to be able to find all the different styles that I want, purchase all of them. The time that it takes to receive that, all the different product. Typically, I would say at least 2 hours to photograph that content. So whether that's shooting it professionally, shooting it at home, doing videos along with that, and then to create a blog post to be able to write it out, add in all of the links, add in all of the photos, you're looking at about 3 hours to just do one blog post. Then that doesn't count that now you have this beautiful blog post on your website. The entire reason that you have social media, in my mind, is using that social media as marketing to get you to my website. So then it's typically about 4 hours of content creation to then put that on all the different social media channels, from Instagram stories, Instagram in-feed posts, Facebook posts, Pinterest, Amazon Live, like whatever it is, to then drive traffic to that blog post to see the work that I put in.
I'm not great at math, but like that is a lot of hours around denim shorts.
Yeah. And that is one blog post. I was at a cadence of doing 3 blog posts per week. I've backed down to 2, but there are a lot of bloggers that put out written content 3 to 4 times a week.
Ryanne, it's incredible. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to like tally all that up to figure out how many hours you spent on that content, because that's the content it's changing people's lives. And I think, as you put it, I mean, that's what it comes down to, is like when you're going through this, for lack of a better term, kind of grinding out, doing this work, you're changing people's lives. And I've got to believe that that's a huge piece of what keeps you going.
It is. I think that being a mom is a big part of it too. I look at my daughter and think to myself, like, I want her to feel confident in the body that she has. And my daughter and I have very different body types. And it was having a child that I was like, wow, she looks nothing like me. And like, okay, some of this is just how I'm built, and how do I make people that, maybe are on the really slender side feel comfortable with their body. And, I joke all the time. I'm like, I think I was 7 when, my thighs have been touching since then. Like, I've always had a curvy body. That's just who I am. That's how I was born. That's how I'm made. And feeling confident in that, and knowing that it's okay. And like, we can all rock amazing style and fashion and feel great, but being okay with whatever that looks like.
Ryanne, I could talk to you for hours. You're doing such amazing stuff. I can't wait to see where this all goes next. You're changing people's lives, as has been captured in those DMs. And I can't congratulate you enough on the success you've had and what you've built. And we'll have to do a part 2 sometime and pick back up where you're at. But you're changing people's lives, Ryanne. This is fantastic. And thanks for spending a few minutes with me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Instagram at AndrewMoses123 and sign up for my monthly email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Today is a great day to pull the tarp. I am rooting for you. See you next time.